Sometimes the simplest journeys lead us to the most impossible destinations. Rain sluiced down the towering panes of glass at Viridian Tower, pattering in impatient rhythms that echoed through the empty lobby. A single chandelier flickered overhead, its crystals trembling in the draught. The polished marble floor reflected four figures as they gathered before the elevator. An accountant clutching a worn leather briefcase, a night shift nurse in scrubs still faintly stained, a retired engineer with ink-smudged palms, and a teenage girl whose oversized backpack seemed to swallow her small frame. Each brought their own burden overdue bills, the weight of lives saved and lost, decades of what-ifs and the inexhaustible questions of youth. Their eyes met only once, brief flickers of acknowledgement, before the doors slid open with a quiet whisper and invitations they could not yet refuse. An ordinary car, stainless steel walls, a brushed nickel handrail. The accountant stepped in first, pressing the panel's lit button 12. Nothing felt unusual. The doors sealed with a gentle whoosh, and the lift hummed upward. But then, the digital display froze. 13. A mist of confusion passed between them. The retired engineer furrowed his brow. They skip 13 in most buildings, it's superstition. The nurse exhaled. So why is it here? The teenage girl adjusted her headphones, curiosity warring with unease. The doors were supposed to remain closed until the 12th floor, yet here they were, heading somewhere they'd never been. The doors parted onto something else entirely. Beyond the threshold lay a corridor without end. Walls rippled as though alive, veins of pulsating light tracing unseen pathways beneath peeling paint. Overhead sconces flickered, casting gauzy shadows that slithered like fingers. The air tasted metallic and old, like a memory dredged from the deep. Somewhere in that long hall, faint voices murmured, half-remembered dreams of regrets and unsaid goodbyes. The accountant stepped forward, drawn as if by magnetism. The teenage girl followed without a sound, her headphones dangling. The nurse reached to call her back, but her hand brushed empty air. One step, two, then the girl vanished. The doors whispered closed, leaving only the engineer and the accountant staring at the blank panel, hearts pounding. Silence is louder when you're two against the unknown. The nurse pounded the emergency stop. Nothing. The engineer jabbed the alarm button. Dead. The accountant, usually reserved, spoke for the first time. It's showing us who we are, or who we fear to become. Or punishing us, the nurse whispered, voice trembling. They clung to one another's faces in the dim light, pressing against the steel walls as if proximity lent courage. And then, as though granting a single favour, the elevator trembled and began its descent, faster than any normal car should. When the doors opened this time, a cold blue glow washed over them. They stood on the gurney freezer level of a hospital, yet sterile and silent, as though time itself had been halted. At the centre of the room, an identical bed held a younger version of the nurse. Machines chirped in slow, halting rhythms. The younger nurse lifted her head and locked eyes with the older woman. A sad smile, a single tear. Then her hand reached out and she pulled the plug. The older nurse screamed, an agonized wail that rippled through the corridors and died in the steel car as the doors closed. Now just two remained, the retired engineer and the accountant. They clung to each other's presence. Fear rendered them allies. He spoke first. It's not random, each stop. It's a memory, a crossroads. She gestured to her chest. A death I couldn't stop. He nodded. My wife asked me to quit work. I chose the job. Between them, the concept formed. This wasn't an elevator. It was a mirror of regret, a mechanism of reflection and trial. The accountant frowned. But why us? Why now? The engineer's voice was quiet, Maybe because we've reached the tipping point, past redemption or just before it. The display blinked one symbol infinity. The car shuddered, doors sliding open on a living room bathed in candlelight. Family photographs lined the mantelpiece, him in a crisp suit, a baby in his arms, his wife smiling across the room. In that moment, he was his younger self, talented, hopeful, torn between a lucrative patent deal and an ill child at home. He rose, ticket in one hand, daughter's drawing in the other, and chose the flight, across a threshold that meant goodbye. Tears welled as he watched his past self leave, a choice contained within a single heartbeat. With a shudder, the door closed. He turned to the accountant, voice broken. "This car, it's condemning us to relive every... what if?" She swallowed hard, then choose again. The panel lit again. This time, 42. He braced himself. Doors opened to a gilded office perched above the city lights. A younger him counted money, windfalls from a corner-cutting deal that bankrupted a friend. Laughter echoed off marble walls. A flashing telephone summoned him to a meeting, the payoff for silence. He realized then that his success was built on someone else's ruin. He watched his reflection in a floor-to-ceiling window, a man who had sold his honor minute by minute. He turned, crushed. "I never told anyone." The doors closed and the elevator whispered down again. The car decelerated, and the display simply read, "Final floor." The hum slowed, then halted. The doors opened onto more than emptiness. A void of writhing shadows and floating mirrors, each reflecting a version of him, parent, pariah, hero, criminal. He stepped off, feet brushing unseen dust. In one mirror he saw them all, his stolen moments, his lost loves, his silent sacrifices. Above, a distant voice. "Here lies the sum of your choices, the space between regret and redemption." He fell to his knees, breath ragged. Each reflection called to him, pulling, begging, accusing, a tidal wave of what was and what might have been. He reached out, touching a mirror's smooth surface. Instead of cold glass, it rippled like water. A single phrase formed in his mind: choose. To stay among the regrets, or step back into the car and face the world anew. He closed his eyes, felt the echo of every heartbeat, and then, with trembling resolve, he turned toward the elevator that reappeared behind him. The doors slid open on the lobby once more. Rain still tapped against the windows. The car chimed softly, as though sighing with relief. But when the doors closed behind him, there were no others waiting. No engineer, no nurse, no girl. The accountant is alone. Only one soul, changed, uncertain, alone. The elevator doesn't take you where you want to go. It takes you where you belong. A single chime, the doors sealed, and somewhere in the city, another elevator lurched to life, waiting for its next passengers. If you stepped into the elevator to elsewhere, what would your floor reveal? Leave your answer in the comments, hit like if your heart raced, and subscribe for more twisted sci-fi journeys.